This is Lon Jordan, and welcome to our Sketched by Design for Educators audio blog. To participate in our audio blog discussion, you can go to Sketched by Design for Educators Group's Facebook page. Here's part 2 in our discussion with Lisa Marie Rose on discovering your unique design in the 21st century marketplace. The focus, exposure. A lot of parents that I've talked to, they'll tell me, Lon, you work with youth. Can't you just help my child to just, work better in school and this. And part of me is like, well, that's your job. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, it is.
Ultimately, I'm there to inspire and I'm there
Yes.
to educate about your design. I do sketch by design. That's what I do. But I think one of the things that I think parents need to understand is they need to become more patient and understand that every child develops differently at different paces. Every child has their own unique natures about them.
Right.
And to not criticize them in that particular area.
Yes.
But kind of see, well, how can this fit in the 21st century in a way that can really aid them, in a way that can really enhance their imagination, which therefore ultimately helps them to succeed
Right.
in even a downturn economy.
Well, that's why I love what you do, is because I think for me it reminds me we have to slow down as parents and embrace the fact that we were given this wonderful blessing to raise people. Yes, we have children, but our job is to raise people. And so if we stop looking at them as just children and start looking at them as people, then we can cultivate in them what they need. And I just think we're moving so fast that we forget. And if we just treat everybody the same, I tell my kids, sometimes they'll say, well, that's not fair. Why does she get this and I don't get this? Or why do I get punished this way and somebody else's consequences, another one of my children's consequences may be different? But because you have to deal with the individual on the individual's level, with the individual's understanding. You can't, you can, I shouldn't say can't, but I don't think that it's smart or doing them any favors to treat everybody the same.
Yeah, and it's true. One of the things, I guess, I think my own message has challenged me over the years because,
good.
Yeah, right. It's the way it's supposed to be.
I know. That's
my
awesome.
message is my struggle. Honestly, I think sometimes it's easy to say, well, appreciate everybody's differences, work together, but the God honest truth is that we don't always like each other's differences all the time. We don't always appreciate that.
And I think other people's differences sometimes challenge us and create change in us that's difficult.
Yes.
As adults, we want to just, be the leaders and tell everybody what to do, especially as parents.
Yeah.
I'm in charge. I tell my kids all the time, this is not a democracy. And it's not a democracy. However, I have to remember to stay well-rounded myself and to stay disciplined myself. And so...
and it's true. And
sometimes it's a challenge. If I see a difference in you and it makes me uncomfortable, I have to keep my mind open.
It's true.
Yeah.
I remember when I was first starting the book that I'm coming out with in April. It was one of the most challenging things I ever did in my life.
Oh, good for you.
It was. I'd written articles around the country, different things like
Right.
that, but having a project where you have to put together and encapsulate the whole sketched by design idea in a way that everyone can understand it was a very, very hard challenge for me. Through the process, though, I realized a few things. It's one thing to think about writing a book, and number two, it's one thing to write it, and number three, it's one thing to know how to take that from paper into the marketplace.
Okay.
And the education that I've learned from how to market that, how to effectively put that in front of consumers as well as retailers, on all these different things that go along with creating opportunities for yourself, but also hopefully creating opportunities as well for other people.
Right.
Takes a lot of discipline. It takes you go through a lot of delays. You go through a lot of challenges. And it's not just about money, whether you have money or not. Like sometimes it's just a matter of having to work through the process.
Yes.
To get to the point where your imagination becomes tangible.
Right. And I think if you do that, everything else comes.
Yes.
Yeah. If you focus on that, everything else just falls into place. Because that's that's the foundation.
And I know that's why one of the things, as far as especially when it comes to parenting and getting kids homework done, or encouraging kids to do their homework, it's more than just homework. It's more than just, saying, well, just get this done so you can graduate and get out of here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Out of my house, and all that other stuff. Pay your own bills.
Have you heard that conversation in my
I'm
house?
sure. Yeah, right. But like what you said before, it's about that discipline.
Right.
And it's very hard to take a lot of the past experiences that you've had, the things that you've been exposed to, and put it together in a way that will aid you in the 21st century without discipline, without the ability to go through the process. One of the things that I've noticed is that when baby boomers are growing up, especially my mother's generation and things like that, they got kicked out at 18. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and back then there was a lot of factors involved with that. One of them was that the dollar was not taken off the gold standard yet. It wasn't currency. The dollar it had its full value, and so you were able to purchase a lot more for less.
Yes.
Nowadays, since the dollar was taken off the gold standard when President Nixon was president, is that the value of the dollar has been going down ever since pretty much 1971. And so now you have to make a lot more paper dollars in order to pay your bills, your insurance, and all these types of things. And so it's harder to just get out of the house all of a sudden like it was before.
That's true.
And so our mindset now has changed due to some of the events that have happened in history. So now we're put in a situation where we have to figure out, okay, how am I going to make enough money and to be able to take care of the necessities that my mother and parents were able to take care of at 18?
Right.
And so that now makes our mind stretch to a whole new different dimension. It forces us to use our imaginations because, to be honest with you, even just having one job isn't necessarily going to pay it off. You see what I'm saying? And some people have $180,000 worth of debt. And so it demands a certain type of imagination and the discipline to cultivate imagination in order to see these things through. And one of the things I'm encourage parents to do is to be patient, but don't encourage laziness in their children, but to be patient with their children and let them kind of go through the process to learn what their uniqueness is, what their gift is, what their purpose is, and then somehow helping them to apply that to the 21st century marketplace.
Perfect. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I'm glad I listened through it because I was getting ready to say that. In teaching your kids discipline, because of what you just said about the dollar and how difficult it is, if you teach them discipline and you teach them to look inside themselves for their own unique creativity, again, with my belief, the rest, it will come, it will be a little easier for them to figure it out. I think that when you're talking about people who used to just 18, they got married. My mother was married at 19, had me at 20. They bought a house. I was 5 years old.
Yeah, right.
That's unheard of. My kid's 15, and I just bought my own house. So it different circumstances, but even still, it's very, very different these days. However, I do believe with everything that I have, and I've seen it in myself, being a single mom, I don't work 40 hours a week, and I raised 2 kids by myself with little help. I bought my own house. If you find out who you are and why you're here, you can do it.
I agree.
You absolutely can do it. I am sitting here living proof.
And I'm just excited to hear you talk about all this right
now. I know, it's absolutely, and for me to be able to say that makes me so proud, but it keeps me humble too because I want to keep doing what I'm doing, and I want to pass that on to my kids so they don't get discouraged because life's going to discourage you. But if you have that, and people, you have people around you like you to encourage and to remind us because we all need reminders.
And I think one of the things too, along with reminders, is educating our kids.
Absolutely.
And I think sometimes, was it the I forgot that theory, the ostrich in the sand theory, where you duck your head in there and nothing else.
Well, that's what I was going to tell you about exposure.
Yeah.
All these things and about exposure. Like I expose my kids to different cultures, to different. Just different people. We went and served on an Indian reservation last summer.
That's right. You went out of the country, right?
Or no, that was in Wyoming.
That was Wyoming.
We're going out of the country this summer.
Okay.
We'll be going to El Salvador, and that's going to be, again, it'll be life-changing in a different way. But I'll tell you what, when we were in Wyoming, and we were in the United States, But my kids were able to see a culture that is extremely different from them, and children who don't have what they have only in material things, but in the cultivation of their creativity. Their parents don't wake up till noon. The kids are running the streets.
Wow.
They don't have the support of the adults in their lives to help them figure out who they are. And it was really, really sad. And my kids noticed what they didn't have materially, but they also noticed, well, where's all their parents? These kids, they would run up to us when we arrived and just hug us because they needed love so bad. And they needed just somebody to tell them that you matter, and that you can be somebody. It was amazing.
And that just brings up a whole nother point, too, is the importance of parents being willing to give their time.
Oh, there.
And
yes.
I know it's hard. Some people have to work 2 to 3 jobs.
Right.
Some people have businesses where they have to work excessive hours.
Right.
But I don't think any dream or any goal or any success should be compromised for the legacy that we need to leave behind for our children.
There's opportunity in everything that you just said. There's opportunity in our busyness for a legacy to be shown to our kids. You can't be too busy. You can't. You have to figure out a way.
And that's one thing I really appreciate about my mother. She was a single mother like you as well. She hustled hard. I remember there was a time she told me where she didn't have barely any money to pay for diapers and things like that.
Right.
And now she's a retired school teacher. She has good money. She's having fun. She's chilling, does whatever she wants to. And, of course, I put her back to work after she retired to help me finish this book. But anyways, yeah, but one of the things
she did it happily. I know she did.
Yeah, she did, right? One of the things she did was that she actually spent time when I was growing up amongst all of the hustle to get her, finish up the bachelor's, the master's, the hustle and bustle of being a school teacher every single day. Sometimes you're working from like 5 to midnight.
Yes.
It's insane hours.
Yes.
But she still would take me 4 o'clock in the morning on Saturday to hockey practice. 4 o'clock in the morning.
I know.
Travel around to all these different places, and she would she did it for me.
Yes.
Despite all the work that she had to do, and because of her investment in me,
right.
I am now able to travel the country and speak.
Yes.
Write books, do the different things that I'm able to do because she invested her legacy through me. She invested the legacy, which was ultimately from her design, which was education.
Right.
She passed that down to me.
Right. And I think what's really important to remember, and it needs to be said, is that your kids see you. They watch. They don't miss a trick. My daughter, who's now 9, she was either 7.5 or 8, said, and this touches me, so if I tear up.
It's okay.
But it was just such a beautiful thing. She said to me, "Mom, I just really feel badly for you." And I was in the kitchen doing my mom thing, and I asked her, "Well, what makes you feel bad for me?" And she said, "You just work so hard all the time." And I said, "You know what? My greatest joy is taking care of you guys." And she goes, "Well, you're always so tired and all this stuff." And I said, "Well, yeah, I am tired." I said, "But the joy that surpasses taking care of you guys, it doesn't matter, And I think that she really just brought me to 2 realizations. She sees me, and they know, even if you try and you don't do it well, they feel when you're helping them and when you're cultivating them, and they feel when you don't. Mm-hmm. So what are we passing on? Even if I didn't come from a background who knows how to cultivate imagination.
Yeah.
So I'm just doing it. The best way that I know how.
Yeah.
Listening to people like you and other people who inspire and, who have a different background. And again, the diversity, it's important, because like I said, I don't come from that. So how do I teach my kids if I don't come from that? I teach them what I know. I teach them what my heart is. And I press forward myself, and then I could pass it on to them.
Thank you for listening to our Sketched by Design for Educators audio blog. For more information on my Sketched by Design programs, you can go to lonjordan.net. To participate in our audio blog discussion, you can go to Sketched by Design for Educators Group's Facebook page. I would like to thank DJ Doc and the Synergy Studio for the production and recording of this audio blog.